Michelle, again, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for
Oh,
willing to take some time out of your day.
thank you for having me. This is amazing.
Your background in Canada and a little bit of that, if we could go through that again.
Okay. Um, so I grew up beautiful igloo town, my hometown's called Windsor. It's just really close to Detroit. And I was really quiet and a little introverted, so I used to draw. Um, and when I went to college, I went to like a small community college in Windsor, and I illustration wasn't an option, but graphic design was, and that was a job. So I took a few years of graphic design, and then I went to Toronto for 1 year to do like a post grad in 3D. And I was planning on moving there. My sister lived there, my cousins lived there, a lot of my friends lived there. Um, but I ended up getting just a short gig in Detroit, and I met my husband, who's the other half of Yeah Haus. He's a motion animation, and so I'm still here in Detroit. um,
Awesome.
and yeah, I worked at a few graphic design places, and then I ended up working at a 3D place doing cars. Everything here is automotive, and I don't care about
Yeah.
cars. Don't tell people because they'll be upset. But but I really hated it, and
Mm.
I went to I went to a workshop, and I heard someone speak, and he had said something like, anybody can do this. If you want to be better at illustration, you just need to practice it and do it every day. And I thought that was really inspirational, because that's what I wanted to be doing.
Yeah.
So I would go home after work and I would draw, and they were not good drawings. But I did it every day. And after like 6 months, I'm a very frugal person, so I saved a lot of money at my job that was paying me really well. They just kept giving me raises. Like, it was a
Nice.
good job. They like kept giving me raises, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to leave this job and like go and make like no money. Um,
Yeah.
but I left, and at that same time, I got a mentorship, which kind of changed my life.
Mm.
I applied for Motivarty, which they don't do anymore, which is super sad. But it was like the artist I was paired with, his name is Mark McDonald, and he teaches at Disney character design. And I was like, oh my gosh! And I worked every day. Like, I had a part-time job doing illustration for this awful, awful woman who was kind of abusive. But and then the
That's
afternoons I would
another
work
story.
every.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another story. Nobody wants to hear that one. But like, I would work every day for like 14-hour days, and I would be doing the work that he gave me to do, and I improved. Like, it was insane. It was such a good opportunity for me. And anyways,
Mm.
my husband got a motion job that sort of covered the two of us, and we're like, yeah, we could do this. And so we sort of like formed Yeah House, even though it was just us in our house. And we said, yeah, we'll just stop doing this when the jobs stop coming, but like, we're still doing it and the jobs are still coming. So I guess that's good.
Yeah.
That sort of brings
That's
us
a
up
good problem.
to today.
Yes. Yeah. So what kind of, you weren't into the cars. You'd mentioned previously that you went to that conference and it was like, it wasn't anime. I don't know if that's the right word, but like fantasy world type
Yeah,
illustration.
like what do you with a magic card type thing. That that's what a lot of
Hmm.
people love.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. What, so when you were like having this love of illustration, what type of stuff did you want to draw? Was it characters and worlds and that type of thing, or?
Yeah, I always wanted. I love characters. I love people. I love looking
Hmm.
at people and like what makes their faces so interesting. And like, it's so funny. What I can draw from my head is never as interesting or strange as what you see just like in a coffee shop or walking down the street. I wish that I could
Hmm.
take like public transportation. We walk to our office because we rent really close to our house. But when I've been to like when we go to Toronto and when we go to New York, like, I just love sitting in the subway and drawing because people are just so interesting. So I love character, but because
Hmm.
we've done these projects and now I'm sort of art directing them, they need not just characters, they really need a ton of background. And so I was so
Hmm.
bad at that. And I took a perspective class. I try to take a class every year. Um, and and now they've gotten a lot better. They're still like, I don't know, like I look at the environment artists who work on like animated films, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't understand how your brain. But like, I found that I like to do that too once I figured out the magic of perspective and how awful it is and how it hates me.
Yes. It's hard until someone lays it out and then you're like, oh, okay, it's kind of a simple idea, at least as perspective goes.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up your portfolio here as I'm chatting with you for the people on the stream to see. And yeah, I mean, character is definitely the first thing that comes through on your portfolio. These really, really great, appealing characters. Okay, so you guys, that's so incredible. I had no idea Yeah Haus was you and your husband. So it starts as the two of you. You're art directing it, illustrating, he's putting it in motion. How long did you do that before you were like, we have to hire other people to come in and work for us?
Oh, so we held off for a long time because we wanted to do our own things. Like I wanted to do children's books, and I have done a few, and I thought like that was actually what my calling was. I thought like, oh, I'm just doing this thing with motion just in between, and then like I just want to do books. And so I got a rep a month after my son was born. I didn't know what was going on. Like I had been up all night. I was just like, this is amazing. And I did a magazine for kids. I did a book, like a truck book, and then I did these princess books, and I thought this is going to be it. And I thought, wow, this is monotonous. I cannot direct anything. I can't have. It was weird because at the same time we were doing a lot of Yeah Haus, and I was able to paint, and it was like, oh, I made my dream job, and I didn't know that I was doing that. So I don't really do books anymore, and I don't have time to because we do this anyway. So having a child is very expensive, and we couldn't take 6 months off and like do our own short films and do our own books anymore. So it was like, I mean, I think we still do our own personal projects, but they're not like 6 months out of the year. So we thought like, are we going to do this, or should we go get a job at like, at agencies and make some money? So we decided to like kind of stick our heels down for a couple more years. And so we moved out of the house, and now we have a studio. We have one full-time producer, Kaylee, who I can't remember anything without you. I have no idea what's going on. She knows all the dates. She's very organized. It's exactly what I'm not. And then Chad and I full time, and then we work with freelancers. So because all of the projects call for so many different things, like we'll use cell 3 months out of the year, so we'll need like really specific cell artists, but we don't need somebody all the time. After Effects, we have like certain skills, 3D people, and so it's kind of amazing because I get to work with all of these like incredible artists. These like, okay, this is gonna make me sound so old, but I really think that the internet is amazing. I'm like, this is so amazing. Like I can work with the best people in the world. Like I can talk to you. Like I just think it's incredible, and like none of this would be possible even like 10 years ago. It was a totally different climate, and there was still the internet, and it was still, but it's just, I don't know. I just think it's amazing. So the internet is amazing. Michelle, that can be my quote.
Yeah, no, the internet is amazing. I'm hearing more people have this scenario where they just hire what they need when they need it, and the like salaried team is super small and essential. And I'm sure your clients love that too, that you're not carrying employees that you don't need and having to build that into the pricing of what you charge clients. So you're doing the kids' books, okay. So that was monotonous. I'm surprised to hear that turned out to be monotonous. You just thought it was repetitive, like same type of thing?
Well, every page is direct. Like if you're doing a book for a smaller company, that's one thing, but I was doing stuff for Scholastic, and like, they know what they want, and they were great to work with. Like I have no complaints, but like, it was like, we need this scene. This is the way it needs to look. Doing the design, I just felt like I couldn't, like it needed to look a certain way. It needed to be really cute. The kids needed to be a certain ethnicity. Like it was just like very, very, very specific. And so I was just like,
sure.
It's not what I thought it would be. And I'm sure if I had kind of continued with it, and maybe I'll do more in the future. But right now, I'm just so excited about like the work that we do. And then there's variety. It's like, oh, I get to do this, and then we do another project, and let's do this, and let's change the style. So I find that really exciting too.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So more of that creative freedom, yeah, when you're doing your own films here. And I'm kind of just looking at your portfolio here. Um, is this biker guy? Is this your husband with the yellow shirt and the blue?
That might be the
Let's see.
opposite of
No,
my
Tour de France.
husband.
Okay.
um, we do watch the Tour de France, but mostly because I love the British commercials. So,
Oh, is that right? Okay.
yeah, their English
That's a
commercials are
rad
just so wacky.
illustration.
I should look.
I was looking at your portfolio this morning. I really, really like your poster of all the toys. So
Oh,
how old is
thanks.
your kiddo now?
He is 2.5, and
Okay,
he's like,
nice.
yeah. I did not having a newborn was not my favorite. But like he's every month he gets to be more and more fun, and like I was just like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is why people have kids. Like, look at how he's like this like half the time he's so happy, and then the other half the time he's kind of like this like monster who like wants to like destroy himself and everything around him. I just think it's like amazing.
Yes.
Like, I don't know where you came
Yes.
from.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, we have a 2-year-old, and she's like going on 2.5, and yeah, we've definitely entered the terrible twos on some days. It's incredible how quickly you go from like they're so innocent to like defiance, and I can tell she's like manipulating us, pretending to cry
Yeah.
sometimes, or like, we don't have to go
Or
into
like
it, but
they like
yeah.
sometimes he'll just like hit me or like in the face, and I'm just like I'm not expecting to
Yeah.
be hit in the face. And we have 2 really large dogs, and they just try to avoid him because I guess they know who the
Yeah.
boss is.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's incredible. Okay, so you guys are doing the studio. That's incredible. You guys are putting out fantastic work. I'm going to pull up the website for Yeah Haus too here for everyone on the stream. The logo is dope. Did you do the type on the logo?
No, actually, we had our first intern. We missed her. She was here last year, like last summer, and we were doing this short film on how to pronounce Yeah Haus because like we worked with people for years and they still can't pronounce Yeah Haus. They're like Yeah Haus, and you could tell they're a little. So we thought like maybe we'll make like a short film on like how to pronounce our name. Anyways, so we just wanted her to do some type for the word yeah, and she made like that, and I was like, put house on that. That looks amazing. And so now it's our logo because
Looks
I
pretty
thought
good.
it was so
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, she was amazing. We miss her.
Came out really nice.
Thank you.
The Vonage piece, is that the most recent piece you guys did?
Yeah, well,
I feel
the most
like,
is yeah, I would say so. It's the biggest piece. We did the short film, the Pronounce 3000. That's the most recent, but the Vonage is probably our
okay.
most recent commercial project. Yeah, that's a
Let me see
lot
if I
of
can
my
load any of
art.
these frames. Oh, this was cool. Yeah, so there's kind of like a live action component. Yeah, then into these just gorgeous illustrated worlds.
Thanks.
So you would put in some real time on this one, I would assume. Some of these are very,
Yeah.
very developed and detailed. And what was this project like?
I guess this is like a testament to like if you do something enough, you get better.
Okay.
So this year I got a scholarship to an MBA, like a 4-month program. It was accelerated like a couple times a week for like a business class, and I've never taken a business class, and I don't know anything about business, so I'm like, this is amazing. It was a really incredible class, and I was like, I can't do the studio full time. I can't do all this art, and so we tried to hire we had to fire 5 people. Like we hired like freelancers. We tried
Wow.
to hire them, and they just couldn't do the work that they said they could do. And some of these people are like
In
amazing,
terms
and
of the
maybe
design side, like the visual
yeah,
side? Mm.
yeah. And so some of these people are incredible artists, and maybe it's just like we just couldn't direct them, or a lot of them,
Yeah.
it just didn't, it wasn't like we gave them a style frame that I had painted and they just couldn't really mimic it. We got one girl, she did 5 backgrounds, which was very helpful, and she did a great job. And then I did the rest of everything. Because it was like,
okay.
yeah, because it was like we were trying to find somebody, and it was just like it was just not going to happen. So I just did it, and it was a lot of work, and I was sad for a little while, but we did it, and we finished it.
It looks like a lot of work.
Yeah,
no, it came out fantastic. It's really beautiful. The final look here.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, the final look, like I painted the paintings, but like really the artists who worked on it, the people who did the 3D and put it together, like it's just it's so far away from the painting. Like it's just like they just made it alive. It's getting like that work back from people is just like I am always blown away. And I mean, we work, you know, Steve, right? I mean, like he worked with us, Steve Savell. He worked with us on it, and he just like he would just do these scenes, and I would just be like, you give him one thing, and then he gives you this living world back, and I was just like, I don't understand. It's so amazing. It's just like, it's like you couldn't pay for that. I don't know. I think that if you're an illustrator, like working in this industry is so exciting because somebody like you just do one thing and then it gives it a whole other dimension, you know? It's like, oh, it's alive.
Yeah. No, and I mean, that can be tricky too, trying to cut up illustrated worlds to really, you know, give it some depth and bring it to life. And sometimes that can take some tinkering to kind of figure out how to do that. Looks like you had some character animation in this piece as well. Did you need to bring in someone specific, or was that like Steve or just other folks?
No, so we worked with four different character animators, one local, she teaches at the university here, and then a few guys from Colombia actually. They work on like these Netflix things for like Netflix South America, and they're just incredible. Like they just I don't know, they draw it, and again, it's just like here you give him something static, and then it's I guess that's what animation is, but I still like I just can't believe it.
Sure. Well, it's a beautiful film.
Thank you.
Let's see, I got a couple questions here. When you used to do children's books, what moved you to do them? What possessed you? Why children's books?
Why children's? When I was little, I remember going into the book. Like I was a big reader, and I had a lot of books, and now I have a lot of books. It's kind of embarrassing, but I love children's books, and I love the idea that like you can look at something and you're sort of immersed in this like world, and also that the words say one thing and then the pictures tell a totally different story, and then together you have like it's like an experience. And working on the computer and being on my phone and having the iPad and being on like totally connected all the time because I have to send emails and blah blah blah. It's just so nice to be part of something that's like not that, you know. And so I had always wanted to do books, and I'd love to go back when maybe I don't have, you know, small children at home and like they're maybe in school or something, and like kind of think about that again. I have like a couple books that I've done that are half finished, but there's just no way they're going to be finished ever. And I know that's an excuse, and a lot of people can do a lot of things, and they're just like they're like, I did 15 books, and I'm just like, I don't know, you're better than me.
Okay, another question. It says, your work environment is a family atmosphere. It's more of a kind of a statement, but yeah, so you and your husband have a studio together. Another one, which cartoons inspire you?
Well,
are you into cartoons at all?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I love Disney. Now that we have a 2-year-old, we see a lot of cartoons, and they're not all good. I've seen the Trolls movie, which I like, but I've now seen it about 500 times. I've seen Moana.
Yeah.
I think it's a punishment. Like I've seen it so many times. So those movies I don't love. I really like my favorite movie of all time is The Last Unicorn. It's so girly. Which, puts me in the 80s. I loved cartoons. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were like my favorite cartoons of all time. I had all of the turtles. I always wanted a techno drum and I never got one. And that's a sad story.
Nice.
And I'm never going to get one.
Yeah, we've been doing a ton of Moana. Anybody with small kids is probably right there with you. Lately it's been Boss Baby. She was super into that one. And the Illumination film, Secret Life of Pets. I don't know if you guys did that one. That's like a beautiful
no, we've done that. It is beautiful.
film.
We've watched Utopia as well. And then Leo
and
Spirit.
Sing is her other big one. Oh, Spirit. Oh gosh, Spirit. Yeah, Spirit plays on loop in our house right now. It's pretty terrible.
I've seen so much Spirit. It's the worst show. It's like not good, and it's just like bad animation. It looks like a PlayStation game from the 90s, but I've lost.
Yeah. It's no. That's that's what it is. In the trenches of parenting. Gotta have your go-to shows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, the Vonage film is really fantastic. So you said this other short film was even more recent. Let's see.
Yeah, we really
Pronounced 3000.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Saw this one.
Our mood is kind of weird.
Yeah, you guys are having some fun with this one. This one has some really awesome designs in here. So let's see.
And we had some designers on that, which is really nice.
So what is the what do you feel like is the goal for Yeah Haus now going forward? Got this great portfolio. Is it a matter of picking the clients you want or the jobs? Are you getting the jobs you want right now? I mean, these look like they had quite a bit of creative freedom, like the Vonage film.
So that client that we worked with them several times. They're amazing. They worked at an agency. There's these two people. They loved working with us. We did 3 or 4 jobs with them, and then they quit the agency and started their own agency. So now we're doing like that. Vonage is the first big job that they did. These kind of jobs, like they don't really care about the art. Like 2 of those went broadcast, like to broadcast TV. And they're just like, whatever, like as long as it looks nice. I mean, they care, I guess.
Yeah,
but there were
we
like
trust
when
you.
we changes, we got changes back, and they like there were a couple weeks of changes, and none of it was the art, like nothing. And I was just like, oh, this is pretty nice. And being able to just do whatever you want. I mean, that's not normal.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a lot of jobs like that, but I don't know. Like, is it having a studio and being able to balance and having steady work, I feel like we'd like to, there's like some goals, especially taking like a business class and like sitting with somebody who knows what they're doing. They're like, so this is good, but then you have these holes here where like maybe you need like more diverse clients and you need this. And we are in Detroit, so like we're sort of in an island. So we're hoping to like maybe have like a couple different clients, but we have been really lucky with the people we've worked with, and everybody, we've never done any kind of advertising or anything. People just recommend us because they think we're nice people, I think. And because every job we really put in, like if we take it, we really like, it's like once it's signed, it's like, okay, we're going to do this job and it's going to be the best possible thing that we can do. Like, which sort of is, it kind of kills us, but like we get through it and then we're really happy with it. So I think so we just get work on recommendations. I would like to have like another full-time producer, because my job is really like, I try to do my art side and direct people. And then I'm also doing like a lot of business logistics, which I have help with, but we still need a little bit more help. And that's kind of difficult. It's kind of boring, but like, it's kind of the truth of like owning something.
Sure. Yeah. What was your hubby's background? Did he do art school or was he self-taught on the motion side?
No, so Chad is a drummer. Like he went to Michigan State, which is like a drum school. I guess they drum. And he was very drumming-ish. And he went to school and he did audio and then some video. And so he graduated in 2002, maybe. So he he was like, oh, Flash is cool. He learned Flash. And then he's like, what's this? What's After Effects? Nice. And then he learned that. And so like he basically like he continued, he played in a few bands in Detroit, and like he wanted to continue doing his music. And it was sort of like the case where, you know, you do something for as long as you can and then you can't anymore. But they made, him and his brother, who was his other, they made all these short films, and they're great. They're weird. And they and so Chad wants to continue. So he's kind of the director. Like, I don't direct the films. He directs everybody, and then he composites and puts it together. He used to do all of our animation, and he can still do a lot of it, but he's sort of busy with like making sure everything fits together. Like if he wasn't here, we just have a bunch of clips that like didn't go together. It would just not be very good.
Sure. Okay.
So he wants to continue moving in that direction and shooting more live action, which is something that we do. And then making more like independent films. Like our like ultimate goal would be like creative, like our own content, you know, but I don't know how far off that would be, years. So we kind of want to like
in terms of short films or something like that.
Short films, or like or making like full, like a feature length, or making like a television show, or you know. And there's just so much opportunity because like Amazon, Netflix, they all need content, you know. And so it's a really great time for that. So we're kind of thinking in that direction. And so in terms of our studio, we want it, I mean, it needs to be profitable, and it so that it like upholds itself, but we also don't want it to be too big, because every person you bring on is a really, like, I consider it a really big responsibility, and you want to have them have a job. And so
yes.
Every person you bring on is like, they have to have like a position that's like constantly making money. So I don't want to have like a studio of the business people. They didn't really understand me in the class. Like they're like, but don't you want like a team of 100? And I was like, no, that's not my dream.
Maybe.
Like, I kept saying it, and they just couldn't understand me. They're like, but you could be making so much more money if you just did these like things. And I was like, but I like keeping my soul. It was just, they just didn't really get it. So we would like to move in like a direction of more original content, I think. But who knows how long that'll take.
Yeah, sure. Okay, what kind of advice do you think you would give to young artists who maybe want to go up a similar path that you did towards illustration and character design and art direction? What kind of practical steps should they take?
I would say that they should have a sketchbook, a cheap sketchbook, and they should have a lot of them, and they should fill them out, and you should work on it every day, and it should be a habit. And those are things that I don't always want to do, but like, you have to like make it part of your life. You have to make drawing part of your life. I don't have a lot of time. I know a lot of people say they don't have a lot of time, but I really don't have a lot of time, because like I go to bed really early. I put my son to bed. He takes forever. I know these are complaints, but it's like, so I get like 30 minutes to myself, and I sit in my bed and I'll turn on a Netflix show and I draw. And so if you want to be doing this, you need to have good drawing skills. I think a lot of people who are designers, they try to skip over drawing. It's like, oh, I'll just, but then you end up copying all the time, and you can't make your own stuff. So if you want to, the thing that's so amazing about being able to create, like about drawing, is that anybody can do it. It's not for special people. It's not for people who are talented. It's just for people who put in the work. And if you're willing to draw every day, and like, you know, it doesn't need to be for hours, but like, it's just a little skill and you have to build it. So anybody can do it. You just need to sit there and draw. So I would suggest having a cheap sketchbook and filling up as many sketchbooks as you can. And I don't show my sketches online. I used to, but sometimes I'll take a picture of one and put it on an Instagram story, but my Instagram isn't filled with that, because I use it for development, and I draw a lot of bad drawings. And I don't really want, like, every time I sit down to draw, it's like, oh, well, how is this going to look on my Instagram? Like, how many likes am I going to get? It's just, it needs, like, it's something for me. And I think that that's such an important part of like development, you know, like I copy a lot. I love looking at other people's art and I'm so inspired by it. I'm like, I want to draw that. And so there's just such a push that like drawing anything should come from like your brain and nothing else, and you should just be able to create it. And technically that might be true, but that's because it's this like store that's built that you've put all these little things in. So I copy a lot, and I wouldn't post any of that, you know, because it's not very nice. But yeah,
Sure.
my babble. I really believe that this is for everybody and that anybody can do it, you know, and
Yes.
it's as simple as building a habit and doing it all the time. That would be my thing.
No, that's great wisdom. Steve Savali just did an illustration course with us at MoGraph Mentor, and his, little quote on the sales page is like, there's people who, there's people who can draw and people who haven't practiced drawing. Like anybody can do it effectively. And I think it's interesting too in your journey of like having to kind of approach the various disciplines within drawing, like character design and some of the observation you were talking about, and like some of the principles that go into that realm, and some of the principles that go into perspective drawing and understanding like some of the technical side of it. But basically underpinned by what you're saying of like, well, you just have to do it a ton, get super comfortable, get that, Corey Loftus is a guy we interviewed for our character design course. He's the character design at Disney, and he would call it pencil mileage. He's incredible.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You ask him like, why are you so incredible? And he's like, oh, pencil mileage. It's easy. I've just been doing it for 20 years, every day. And now my brain allows me to just get it out super quick and clean. And that's good wisdom in any discipline, but certainly drawing as well.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. He's amazing. I'm a fan.
Let's see. Let me catch up on a couple of questions here. Mike says, when you watch an animated movie, what parts of the animation are you paying the most attention to? Aspects of the animation. Do you have any?
Well, hi, Mike. I would say so. One of the other movies that we got Leo into, which he wasn't sure about, but we watched it 400 times, was My Neighbor Totoro, because I love Studio Ghibli. Like, I really want him to love it. And like, he's watched a few of them and he's just not that interested. But My Neighbor Totoro has these two kids. So anyways, I get really lost in watching a movie. Like, if I was to like, I could never be an editor because I just like start watching and like I can't see the cuts. It's all invisible to me. But what's amazing about seeing something 900 times, which is not what a lot of people want to do, but like you do start to watch, like I'm looking at the background and I'm just like, oh, it's so incredible. And also I'm looking at the characters and like some of the animation is incredible, but some of it is just them just sitting there, just like a simple scene. And that's been really like interesting for me because I'm like, wow, because we do things that are really fast. So there's so many scenes and we got to have lots of stuff. And there's because of the nature of that sort of animation. But then you're just seeing like, I'm like, how could anybody do a 30-minute piece? I mean, it'd be 9 million scenes. And then you're watching something like that, which is sort of, that movie is such a quiet, beautiful movie. Like there's not a lot of noise. There's just like a little bit of music and the voices, and they're not talking for a long time. And you see like, oh, here we are going through the same scene again, which is beautifully painted. And you're just sort of watching the character do that. So it's been interesting to see, like, lately I've been paying a lot of attention to how something's put together. But if I'm watching something for the first time or second time or third time, like maybe even the 10th time, I still get so lost in how, like, just the whole film, the story. It's hard for me to pay attention. I buy a lot of art books, like those art of Disney, art of Mulan or whatever, because that way I can actually take in the artwork and the background and the characters. But I can't do it. Like if I'm watching Up, like there's the first 5 minutes, every time I just cry. Like I can't see anything other than like, she's dead. I mean,
you loved her so much. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which maybe why I might not ever be a director, but I love animation.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Let's see. Andrew asks, how do you like to work Photoshop to Illustrator, Illustrator to Photoshop, hand drawing? Okay.
Yes.
Little workflow
uh,
question.
okay, so it depends on what I need to do and where I am in the process. If I'm at the first, let's say the first illustration for an animation, so essentially like a style frame, I'll draw on paper and then I'll paint in Photoshop. If it's something that's technical, like something that requires a perspective grid or is like structural, like a house or something, I'll do the design in Illustrator and kind of work with the colors, and then bring it back into Photoshop and then sort of paint on top of it. But so it'll take me a while to get that first, second, or third kind of style frame. But once I have the look, then I just go right into Photoshop and kind of just start creating that way. Sometimes I work in Illustrator to get the base, but I just sort of use it as like one tool.
Steve Savali chimed in with a question: what makes for good character design? Steve, that's a loaded question, but we'll get Michelle's take.
Steve is asking me this because he's asked me this before and he saw how angry I got looking at bad character design that was copied. What good character design is like, I mean, that's a big question.
Yeah, that is a big question.
I mean,
let me see. Let me 1 second. I'm going to switch this up a little bit here. See if we can kill this lag. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. I mean, a character should really like it should like evoke what you're looking to get from the film. It should be in service of your film, like, or whatever you're making. Like it should really work with
contribute
that.
To the story.
I mean,
yeah.
Exactly. Like, like I always want to personally just draw things that I want to draw, but like it's not always appropriate. Like, I don't think Sailor Moon is going to fit into any of our animated films. So it's like, oh, I need to figure out how to make this a bit more designer. And then you have like your basic character design principles of having a really strong silhouette, not having too many details on the character that distract from the story you're trying to tell, good color, and thinking about the story as a whole. I mean, I always try to think in terms of like how many characters. I do like a lineup usually. Like I start with one and then I'll do like a lineup, and I try to think like who would be in the story. I do try to add diversity into our work because I feel it's important, and there's not a lot of it in things. But I think about that. I also think in terms of like shape. Characters they should look visually different from each other. Like I did, we did a subway job last February or something. And so I did they wanted Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, and they were in two different spots. And so when I designed them, I designed Leonardo da Vinci as like, he kind of looked like Dumbledore, sort of. Like I wanted like a very, like a tall, thin sort of presence. And when I designed Michelangelo, I designed a really fat, like redheaded, like super personality. Like maybe if he lived now, he'd have a bunch of tattoos. And the client saw it and they said, no, it needs to look like he didn't look like this. He was thinner. And I was like, well, maybe he got fat. I mean, I don't know. But I, and then you have to make changes based on like what feedback you get. But when I do it the first time, I really try to think about like how these look together. How do they look different? Because your brain automatically like reads something and it says like, this is this. And so that fast read is so important. To how you look at characters. I could bore you all day with character design.
No, that's a great topic of conversation. Yeah, that contrast between your characters, that contrast in shape language, that's something we heard a lot about from character designers when we were doing some materials on that of, and what were some of the examples? You know, like Monsters Inc., you know, Mike versus the big one, how there's like a big square and a small circle, and
Small circle.
yeah, having that contrast, having that difference to kind of bring out their personalities. Let's see. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen of the Slack forum? Hopefully our lag is picking up a little better.
Sad.
Let's see. Okay. Well, Michelle, thank you so much. I wanted to make sure we got you out of here under an hour. I really appreciate you taking some time to chat with us. Amazing to hear your story and know more about Yeah Haus, incredible studio. I think the last thing I wanted to ask you was, what studios does Yeah Haus look up to, or at least inspired by? Maybe not look up to, but like other studios that you guys are inspired by?
I mean, there are so many that are doing really amazing work. My personal favorite, I love Golden Wolf. I love everything they come out with, like their gifts.
Yeah.
They're just incredible. I think it's a,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's just like everything I see, I'm like, that is the most amazing thing. Oh, no, I mean, the DuckTales intro that they did was like, I mean, it's like once you do that, you might as well just quit and be like, well, obviously we're the best. I mean, you should just like send us money. And we're gonna all retire to like our island because we're the best. I don't know. And I like that there's so much like character, story-driven work that they do. But it's like an incredible time to be working in this industry because there's so much great work and there's so much access to different kinds of animators and everything's sort of coming together where it's like when we started doing this, we were doing all vector explainers because Photoshop was it was too hard on the system. And like, you know, people weren't doing cell the way, and now it's just like, whatever you want to put in there is possible. And I just think it's incredible. It's like, it's such a good time for all of us to be working in this.
Yes, indeed. Indeed it is. That's good wisdom. Okay, one last question here. Is it important to learn anatomy to be a good illustrator?
So,
I think on character design, we could probably say yes. I think having a base of some figure drawing is pretty good to know those proportions.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I love going to life drawing. I don't go as much as I used to when I had time to myself. But yeah, I mean, any kind of base art thing is really important, but nothing is more important than drawing. So if like something like, oh, I need to, like, I was bogged down for many years, like feeling like I didn't go to illustration school. I went to graphic design. So I missed out on a lot of those like basics. And I felt like I can never be very good because I'm missing this and I'm missing this piece. And I started to fill in those pieces that were missing because obviously it's just impossible to move on without it. But like, nothing is more important than your sketchbook. Like, even if your anatomy is totally off and it's bad, like drawing from life, I mean, it's just going to get better. Like, if you keep doing it, like, it's going to be better. And yeah, it's important to study anatomy and to study perspective and to study other people's work. But like drawing, like if that stops you, because it stopped me, I was just like, I'm never going to be able to do a background because I just don't understand perspective. So I should just like quit and, you know, I don't know, be a professional knitter or something. But like, if so that's stopping you, like, don't, like, you know, maybe like look at an anatomy book, maybe think about like going to life drawing, because if it's in Detroit, it's probably in most places. Or if you don't have that, then go to a coffee shop and draw. You know, anatomy is in front of us. You're a person, I'm a person, there's lots of people, there's a dog, there's, you know, you can see it. I did the bone drawings. It was beneficial, you know, but like having that draw. That's all I can say. And what you're excited about, you know? I like drawing.
Yeah. 100%. That's excellent wisdom. Probably a good place to let you go. Getting lots of thank you for sharings here in the Slack, and I will echo that, of course. Thank you so much. It's so great to meet you and get to know you a little bit. And now when we see your incredible work, we'll get to know kind of the face behind all this beautiful artwork and incredible animation that you guys are producing. And I'm super excited to see what you guys continue to produce from the studio side. And yeah, we'll be excited to see what you guys come up with in the future. So thanks so much.
Well, no, again, thank you. I mean, this has been great, and I hope it's helpful to people. If somebody has a question, they can write me. I'm pretty open. Tweet me or whatever.
Awesome. Yes, and we'll post your details, portfolio, and Twitter. Probably the best way to follow you and hit you up.
Probably Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, I haven't updated my website in a year or so because I just feel like, this is my website. I'm lazy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
enough.
thank you.